All right, so what I want to talk to you guys today about is sunglasses. I personally have not wore my sunglasses a whole lot in the past maybe year and a half. Now I will wear them outside, like if it's very, very bright, or if I'm outside for a very long duration of time, or I'm at a sporting event to where I may be sitting in the sun. I'll have them with me, but for the majority of the time, I do not wear my sunglasses anymore, and for a good reason. So. What we're going to talk about today is why you should ditch your sunglasses and reprogram your cellular energy, and why your eyes actually need the sun, and you'll function better if you can do that. So, everybody these days, I would say, has a deficiency in sunlight, right? Everybody has this modern light malnutrition. Like Jacob is in right now, he has, LED fluorescence, light bulbs are right above him. He's in poor lighting, right? We spend 90% of our time indoors under junk, white, artificial LED fluorescent lighting, right? And it's just kind of hard to get away from it. It just is what it is. And then when we finally get outside, we immediately cover our eyes, right? Because it's so bright. We've been so adjusted to the indoor lighting. And we either cover our eyes, or we put sunglasses on. Um, and this chronic overshading of our eyes is going to lead to a mismatch between our environment and what we're showing on our internal biology. So, if we look at it, the retinal recharge and the science behind it, the retina is one of the most metabolically active tissues within the body itself. Now, if we look at red and near infrared light, this is absorbed by the eyes to stimulate cytochrome C oxidase. So, what this results in is an increase of ATP, which we all know is energy, right? A production and a massive reduction in retinal oxidative stress. So, what all of this is essentially saying, the sciencey stuff, let's break it down into very layman term. Your eyes are essentially a wireless charging port that uses sunlight to flood your brain and body with cellular energy. And if you're constantly, covering your eyes all the time with sunglasses and not letting that natural light, get into your eyes, you are not recharging your body at all. And you have probably heard me tell you at some point in our time working together, if all possible, get outside within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the time that you're awake, or that first sunlight comes up, and get some sunlight in your eyes for 10 minutes, right? 10 to 15 minutes of the day. That's going to help a couple things, and we'll kind of dive into that here with the circadian connection. So when the sunlight hits your eyes, this is going to signal, and I'm not going to try to say this, signals the SCN, or the suprasystematic nucleus. Essentially, this tells the brain to spike that morning cortisol. It's going to give you a little bit of energy, right? And start to prime that nightly melatonin production. So if we look at this from a mitochondrial repair, that morning light exposure is like the start button, right, for your internal clock. And if you don't hit that, if you just if you wake up every in the morning, you put your sunglasses on, you walk out the door, you drive in your car, which has tinted windows, right? I know mine are like 5% tint, right? You really can't see anything in mine. But if you have that plus this, this the those sunglasses on, you're blocking a lot of that natural light exposure to get into your eyes. And if you don't do that, your body isn't able to hit that start button for that internal clock. And then when you don't do it, your mitochondria is going to lose their ability to effectively detoxify and repair while you're sleeping. It's interesting that a lot of the peptides that we're seeing out there today talks about mitochondrial function, mitochondrial repair. And in essence, if we were to just do this very basic thing, I'm not saying that this would replace those entirely, right? But it would definitely give you an edge, or maybe even eliminate some of them, right? Just a very basic, a minimalistic thing that we can do. Now, another thing that is interesting is natural protection. So let's talk about a sunburn, right? Um, so I was told at one point, maybe a year or two ago, that if you have poor metabolic health, you can easily get sunburn, right? And to me, that didn't make a whole lot of sense until I looked into it. So the eyes are going to act as a light emitter for the whole body, right? If sunlight is coming into your eyes, those UV rays are going in there. It kind of tells your brain like, hey, it's very sunny out here today, or it's pitch black dark, the sun's not out, right? So the sunlight in your eyes is actually going to trigger this melanocyte stimulation hormone, MSH. And this signals your skin to prepare for this UV exposure, building a natural, it's like a solar callus, kind of like what's on your hands, right? When you lift weights a lot, to improve that UV resilience. So, in essence, the more metabolic active, or the more, maybe that's not the right term, but the better health that you are from a metabolic standpoint, and you're able to get that sunlight in your eyes, and you're able to get that natural production of energy, ATP going, all that stuff is firing on all cylinders. You getting that actual sunlight in your eyes is going to better prepare your skin for just UV exposure, right? And that does make sense. If you go outside and your body doesn't have any kind of protection against that, you'll probably burn very, very easily. But if you can build up this natural solar callus, and it's not like an actual callus, right? I'm not honestly not sure how that mechanism actually works. I would suspect it does something with the melanin production inside of your body. But in all essence, it's going to improve your UV resilience and allow you to be outside more without getting sunburnt as easily. I'm not going to say at all, because I don't care who you are. If you're the most metabolically healthy person, if you lay out on the street for 10 hours, you're going to get sunburned in some ways, just, shape or form. So I'm not saying it's a hack to not ever get sunburnt, but it does definitely help. So, out of all of this, what can you do? The easiest is going to be the no sunglasses plan. Like I said, I haven't really wore sunglasses in a long time, and when I made this last week, before I got sick and wasn't able to do it. When I went to the spring game on Saturday, I took my sunglasses. I said, "This is going to look really weird if I'm talking about not wearing sunglasses, and then I'm posting a picture with sunglasses on, right?" So this is not to say that I don't ever wear my sunglasses, but in a time to where, like, if I'm just outside for a little bit, I don't really need them. If I'm going to be outside for several hours, I might take them just in case. But the end all be all, what you need to look for is that morning window. If you can, 10 to 20 minutes of outdoor lighting, within 1 hour of waking, no sunglasses, get outside. Don't look directly into the sun, because then that's going to obviously cause damage, to your eyes. But, try to get some sunlight in your actual eyes in itself. Another thing is unfiltered glass, kind of, which is what we talked about. Now, granted, I'm bad at this. Like I said, my car has 5%. I think my truck has 2.5. Like, it looks like limo tent. You can't see anything inside of there. So I'm definitely not a great example on this one. But nonetheless, if you do that and wear sunglasses, it's kind of like a double whammy. You're not getting any kind of natural sunlight production into your eyes in itself. So, like, there's a lot of the times to where, if I'm feeling kind of groggy, kind of down, and I'm in my car, in my truck, I will, kind of roll the window down to get some of that natural lighting in there, and then obviously just some fresh air as well too. Um, and then if you are going to, use the sunglasses, just like I said earlier, keep the shades for, like, high glare days. If you're on the water, if you're like in the snow, right, to where that reflection can be pretty rough on your eyes. But don't have them on as much as possible. It's funny because, like, 3 or 4 years ago, I was so against buying a pair of expensive sunglasses. Like, I was the kind of guy that was like, I don't see why I would ever spend 200, $300 on a pair of Costas, right? Because I could just go buy a cheap knockoff pair for $20, and it's good, right? Finally broke down and bought a, $220 pair of Costas that I've had for the last 4 years, and in the last year they've been hanging on the little key thing by the door because again, I just don't really wear them anymore. But um, again, it's just one of the things to where I'm not telling you to throw your glasses away and never use them again. Just be on the cautious side of it that, the more sunlight that you can get into your eyes, the better that, that you're going to feel. And again, this is not some cheat code to where if you feel groggy, no energy and you step outside and, stare at the sun for 10 minutes that you're going to feel better. You're probably going to feel like crap if you go outside and, stare at the sun. Like you're probably going to need glasses at that point. But to some degree, just try it, and you'll probably feel a pretty big difference. I would say. But with that, does anybody get anything to add to that? Any experiences? Anything that you want to add to that at all?
What happens when you wake up and it's still dark out for like
Yep, that's a common
2 hours?
question.
Yeah.
I know some. I know some people who buy. There's these things that you can buy on Amazon. It's called like I don't want to butcher the name, but it's essentially it's a light that you either keep in your bathroom or on like the nightstand. Like I guess you would keep it in the bathroom if you don't like want to wake, your wife, sleeping beside you, right? But essentially, it is an artificial light, but it's supposed to mimic natural lighting to help you kind of get that natural production going. And then if you don't have that, that's fine. But I mean, whenever, if you get up at 4 a.m. and the sun doesn't rise till 6:30, 6:45, well, excuse me, hopefully at that time you're able to get outside for, 5 or 10 minutes and just get it going. It's not going to be as good as waking up, the first, few minutes every day as you outside, that kind of thing. So it's obviously does have its downfalls for you, getting up early. But in that scenario, it's just kind of like just do what you can in essence. And I think those things are called like sunrise waker or it's something like this. It's like an actual artificial light that's supposed to mimic like the sun coming up. Like it starts like very low light and then like within like a 15-minute span, it like automatically like dims itself until it's like the very like fullest dim that it has on there. So it's like you're fully awake, the sun's fully up kind of thing. So, but I think in your case, just whenever it gets sunny outside, get outside and look up at the sky for 5 or 10 minutes and just get some sun in your eyes. So.
Got it, got it. And this might be stupid as well, but does that have anything to do with like red light therapy or what is red light therapy?
So yeah, so it kind of does have a connection to it. So I'm not very versed in red light therapy. I will say that just because I'll be honest with you, I've looked into it because I've wanted to order a red light therapy thing for my house, but they're so expensive, and you don't really know like there's like certain different wavelengths that you can buy to help target certain things, but at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing with the red light is still dealing with a mitochondrial health. And I've even seen some studies show that if you do get in a red light bed, it's good to keep your eyes open with no protection. Like if you get into a tanning bed, they want you to wear, the little glasses, to keep your eyes closed and keep that from getting in your eyes because it can burn your eyes, right? But with a red light therapy, it's it's honestly not enough studies to convince me to go into a red light bed, keep my eyes open the whole time because I don't want to do it for 5 minutes and then my eyes are fried, right? So it hasn't convinced me enough yet. But yes, it's pretty similar to the same thing. Um, it's more or less about stimulating that mitochondrial function, helping you heal from the inside out, essentially. Um, it's just and I guess it kind of depends on what a red light bed or module that you're using. I know the girl that I get a massage from, she has one that's probably 4 foot tall and probably a foot wide, and it was like $1,500. And then you can buy a red light thing off of Amazon for like $20. So like I think it kind of all depends on where you get it from as well too. So
Gotcha.
anybody else, Jacob?
The only thing I'd ask, I don't know if you maybe saw anything about this, like whenever you were researching this, but is there any sort of correlation, I guess, between the absorption of sunlight into your eyes based on your eye color. Because I feel like I've heard of some like variances between like eye color can make a difference in light sensitivity per
Yeah.
se. But
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard that as well. But to be honest with you, that did not come up on my radar
yeah,
when I searched it. I mean, that's a valid question though.
yeah,
I would guess, I wonder if maybe, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like if you look at a set of eyes, right? My eyes,
hmm
your eyes, Rihanna's and Ernesto's, like we all anatomically, physically have the same structure, right? It's just a different color. So like I don't know if maybe if that light is absorbed inside of the retina at a different pace due to the color. Maybe it could be. I
yeah,
don't know. But that's um I'm gonna just because you said that, I'm gonna look that up just for my own curiosity. But yeah, I have no idea. So
yeah.
the easiest way to say that is yeah, I have no idea. I'm
Gotcha.
I'm not gonna lie to you and try to say I do.
Yeah,
Um but no, good question. And I will say I haven't got very sunburnt in the past year or so. Like I've even started laying in the in the tanning bed 2 or 3 times a week over the past month. And normally I would get out of there and I would touch my skin. I'd be like red. But ever since I've quit wearing my sunglasses and I get that sun into my eyes and I'm make my eyes very like my eyes aren't very sensitive to the sun anymore. It's I don't really get that burnt anymore. So I mean, I'm sure if I laid in the tanning bed for 30 minutes instead of 10, I would get blistered. But still, I would say it's from my anecdotal efforts. I'd say it works. So, but well, if nobody else has anything, we'll let you guys go. Ernesto's going into the big city of Baltimore. Stay strapped, stay careful. Um, and I guess I will talk to you guys later.